Mr. President, today we welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home. A proposal that ends the war by achieving all our objectives. A proposal that opens the door to an historic expansion of peace in our region and beyond our region.
That was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a short time ago. He was then followed by President Donald Trump, who just concluded his remarks there at the Knesset in Jerusalem. Joining us now, Rachel Goldberg Polin and John Polin. They are the parents of Hersh Goldberg Polin, an American Israeli who was taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th and later killed in captivity. Rachel and John have graced us with their presence a number of times in these last 2 years. For that, we have always been grateful. Thank you for joining us again this morning. I guess just for a question for both of you, one then the other. Just what are your thoughts? What are your feelings today on this day when the final hostages, those final 20, have been able to return home?
Well, I would say for those families and those hostages of those final 20 living hostages, this is certainly a day of relief and joy and gratitude and deep thanks and appreciation to everyone, from the little people like us who've been in this struggle on the streets for 738 days and to the people who actually made it happen. But don't forget that we also have to get back all of them, meaning there are 28 hostages who have died and whose remains are still being held by Hamas. And until all 48 are back, we're not done.
And John, please go ahead.
To that and say that I'll say it's a wonderful accomplishment getting these, hopefully all 48, home and ending this war, bringing some calm to the region. I'm hopeful, and I'm kind of riffing a little bit here on President Trump. I'm hopeful that this is the catalyst for still something even bigger and better for all of us in the region. We've known too many cycles for too long of war and violence and blame, and we and so many others in the region have paid a heavy price. Let's make today the beginning of the fix and the beginning of being able to move forward to something better. The second thing I want to say is, and President Trump himself has talked publicly about this, this is an example where little people en masse band together, raise their voice, wonder throughout if it's doing anything, if it's having any impact, and the answer is yes. The people of Israel have stood on street corners, they've stood on bridges, they've come to gatherings, they've raised their voices, and it's a big, big part of why hostages are coming home today. And so it's a lesson and it's a thank you to the people of Israel for their support for 738 days.
You were right to mention the remains of the hostages there in Gaza. Some have been returned this morning, but reports that not as many as initially promised. But details fluid on that. We're going to stay on it, look for updates. David Rode, please take the next question.
Rachel and John, we met nearly 2 years ago when you were here with other families in Washington at the beginning of this 738 days you've gone through. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for everything you did to try to save Hersh. You should be so proud of yourselves. I want to ask you now a broader perspective from an American political view. You just saw President Trump's speech. I'm just curious if you have any explanation or measure of how much political power President Trump's words have in Israel, how he's viewed by Israelis. There will be an election in the next year there, but I'm just curious how across the political spectrum in Israel President Trump is seen today and how he'll be seen in the future.
Well, first, David, I know you speak publicly about your time in captivity, so I hope I'm not embarrassing you by outing you. as a result of that experience, we met you, we have felt connected to you. You've been supportive in front of the camera and behind the camera. So thank you. It makes sense that we're speaking to you today. In terms of your question, President Trump right now is seen as heroic in Israel. The people of Israel have been supportive of the actions taken since October 7th from the standpoint of do whatever we need to do to get our people home. But bringing the people home has been the goal of these activities. Soldiers have come up to us on the streets consistently for 700 plus days, and not one has talked about trying to do anything destructive, trying to do anything to hurt anybody. What they all talk about is we are doing what we're doing to bring home the hostages, and President Trump has delivered. He's made that happen. And right now, he's received with very, very open arms. When Air Force One came in today, I know it flew low over the skies of Israel, and people were out applauding. There's a lot of gratitude today for President Trump and Steve Witkoff and the entire U.S. team that came in with determination and made this deal happen. And we're behind them to keep going.
So, Rachel and John, we are again so grateful that you could join us today, and we're hoping before you go, if you wanted to, take a few moments now, each of you, if you'd like, just to remind viewers of your son and tell us who he was and what this day is like for you, as he, of course, each and every day remains in the forefront of your minds and hearts.
No, Hirsch was our, and will always be, our eldest child, our only son, and Hirsch will always be 23 years old. And we feel that we were very blessed to have this beautiful ray of warm light in our lives. And we still feel that. We have to figure out and teach ourselves how to feel him in different ways now that he's not here in the tangible, touchable way that we all interact with our loved ones in. And Hirsch was a very curious citizen of the world who was a gifted listener. And we didn't appreciate how unique and remarkable that trait was until after he was killed. And we've had so many people approach us and talk to us about that specific skill. And it is a skill. And I think in these challenging times that we all find ourselves, where civil discourse is so on the precipice, and we are not good at listening to one another. We're not good at trying to figure out, okay, we don't agree, but why do you think the way you do? And that's something that Hirsch always had this hunger and curiosity for. And we obviously will be living with the suffering of his loss for the rest of our lives. But we also hope to be able, as us human beings are, endowed with multiple capabilities, and that we will miss and yearn for him forever, but that we also feel blessed and can see the world in a way drenched with light.
And I want to answer with just one quick tale, which is 2 months ago, my daughter and I were walking down the street in Jerusalem, and a man that I didn't know stopped me and said, "Hirsch's dad, I want to show you something." And he pulls out his phone and shows me that his screensaver, his wallpaper, is a picture of Hirsch. And he said to me, every morning, the first thing I do is turn on my phone, I look at this picture of Hirsch, and I say to myself, what can I do today to be a better person, and how can I make this world better? And if nothing else, if that one person alone has that takeaway, that's a great, great legacy. And if there are others, even better. But Hirsch he does love knowing that at least one person has had that kind of takeaway from Hirsch's goodness in the world.
What a wonderful moment and story. Thank you so much for sharing that and all your remembrances of your son. We have always been so deeply grateful of how you have graced us with your time and your presence, your emotions, your thoughts. Rachel Goldberg Polin and John Polin, thank you both very much.
Thank you so
you.
much.